Thank you, everyone who bared with us. Welcome. My name is Natasha, nurse, owner and co-founder of Dressing Roommate coaching and consulting platform. The woman next to me, the phenomenal Kelly Hoey. This is so excited. So get everyone up to speed. Tell everyone like your story, how you became an author, and that really cool book that's out and that everyone should read.
Here we'll be good. We'll there book.
Yeah, awesome.
So I'm the author, as Natasha said. Thank you for having me on this and putting up with my technical issues. Author of the book, Build Your Dream Network. You know, I think the best way to cut to the chase is at some point I say to people, stop, listen, and listen to your network and what they're asking from you. Because in that you may find what your secret sauce is. And that thing that you just naturally do may be something that is magical, that you're like, doesn't everyone do this? No, everyone doesn't do this. So it may be that magical thing that is, you know, your, like I said, your superpower, your secret sauce. And so when I finally, after being a lawyer and in management and consulting and doing all of that, I finally listened to my network and realized, what had they all been asking me for? They'd all been asking me for advice, that I found the solutions in networks and relationships and helped people unpack what it was they were trying to achieve, launch a business, you know, change their career, doing whatever, and showed them how by tapping into their own network, how by, you know, sharing with their own network their dreams and desires, they could transform what it is they wanted to do. And that's what resulted in that book.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yes, phenomenal. So I completely agree with you, fellow lawyer. I'm a New York Law School graduate. And yeah, I would say every opportunity as well in my life has come from networking. It's never been my resume. It's always been a conversation. Right. So how did you...
As I like to say, it's not who you know or what you know, it's who knows what you know. And how you know, people can talk about personal brand, and I sort of look at it as, you know, how are you engaging with your inner core of like confidence and advisors and friends and colleagues and the people you bump into every day, and how are you treating other people that if you were to turn to them and ask for help, they would actually, you know, put up their hand and want to help you. And then so listening to your network is, again, it might reveal your secret sauce, but it also might tell you what your brand is. And are you a brand that's a decent person? Are you well thought of? Are you well liked? And that all comes from your daily interactions with other people.
Awesome. So for a lot of people, networking is something that's very challenging to them. They find it intimidating, overwhelming. What would you say are like the first couple of steps to like declutter that like negative mindset around it and get started and really start to use this to level up their life?
So take that old mindset and that old definition of networking, write it on a piece of paper, walk over to the toilet and flush it. That's what you do. And then you pick up this and say, I'm going to look at this differently. For me, this is about building relationships. If you're going to talk about networking, like the activity of building relationships, let's just call it networking for now. That's every single human interaction. It's my buddy Adrian Graham writing a little note and posting on the, you know, the Facebook Live right now. It's your headshot on social media. It's your email signature line. It's how you greet a colleague or a peer when you get to your co-working space or you get to your office. It's every single human interaction. So, you know, everyone, like, and I think those micro actions every day are far more meaningful and in the long run, more important to achieving whatever it is you want to achieve than whether or not you have an elevator pitch, a stack of business cards in your pocket, and, you know, are worrying about your icebreaker statement as you work a room with a bunch of strangers.
Absolutely.
That scary notion of networking, I think, is our last resort. Walking into a room of strangers should be You know what? It should be done purposefully, intentionally, because you've determined you need to build relationships with people and with those strangers, and you've not been able to discover any other path of introduction.
Absolutely. Awesome. All right. And in the book, let's walk through that. What are the different tools, exercises? What's the structure of the book? What are people going to get away from it? How should they use it?
Well, so, you know, I'm to the annoyance of librarians everywhere. I tell people in the introduction to crack the spine and pull out a pen and write in the book and fold the pages. Sorry. Because it was meant to be like, write notes, get your aha moments. There are some, I want to say, you know, curiously easy and deceptively simple and, oh yeah, I'm already doing that kind of moment. Some of this may not be new to people. I like to say this may not be rocket science. It's actually harder because it's human beings, and we are not a controlled experiment. We're gnarly and weird and delightful and pains in the butt, and that's what makes all of this really hard. The big thing with my book is it is case study, roadmap driven, so that you can see and read other people's stories, and you can look at it and go, oh, I can do this. So not something where, you know, hey, I just had lunch with, you know, fill in the blank of celebrity. But, you know, I just had lunch with Beyonce. You know, you read those kinds of things and you think, well, how do I do that? There's a whole lot of people in my book who did not start out with fancy networks or Ivy League degrees or anything like that. They were just very purposeful and intentional in the pursuit of their, whether it was a business or career goal. They were very intentional and purposeful on how they treated others. And they have methodically, generously built really incredible networks and really incredible, I want to say, life outcomes.
Absolutely. Okay. And with the digital age and technology, despite the difficulties that it sometimes gives us in our life, how would you rank the importance of social networking online versus the in-person networking? Which is more important? Are they equally important? And how do you manage and master both?
So I think the biggest thing to remember and master, it's all human communication. It's all human interaction. It's not like, oh, I market myself online, right? No, you are yourself online. If you and I were sitting next to each other, we would be having the same conversation we're having right now. It's not like, oh, there's, you know, the personal brand I build online and here's my real self. To me, it's all the same thing. And I think of online spaces like physical spaces in terms of picturing the type of conversation and the way you would interact with people so that you can build that really strong bond. And I think we're all struggling with the kind of the online and offline because it's kind of new for all of us. And I want to say in many ways, some people have just grown up with digital and they're trying to figure out the offline. You know, the same generation that brought us, you know, social media is the generation that has brought us co-working spaces and maker spaces and you know, all those things. And then you look at the biggest uptick in social media and it's, you know, I want to say the 50 plus crowd, you know, so so it's all human communication. I think you need to kind of sit back and think about who it is that you want to connect with, and the person you may want to connect with, the best way to connect with them may be face to face. It may be on Twitter. Like what is it that rocks their world? Where do they hang out? And you may just have to step into that room. So absolutely. I mean, some examples, like the best way to connect with someone, like someone said to me, they didn't believe in business cards.
Yes, I've heard that as well.
And then I looked at them and I said, well, I hope you're not doing business in Japan because they do.
I like your candor.
So it's like, you know, so then it's like, oh, understand that for somebody else, that the tangible may be really, really important, but also maybe that we're so used to digital that something like this may make you more memorable. By the way, Turn of the Corkscrew Books, women-owned bookstore in let me see, where is it? Rockville Center, New York. fantastic. Just
Hey.
in case anyone's looking for a independent bookstore.
Nice.
But also too, you know, people would say, oh, well, that generation isn't using social. Well, one of my best friends now and my most solid mentor is the author Tom Peters, and we met 8 years ago on Twitter.
Nice.
And for over 7 years, he and I just chatted back and forth on Twitter until we met finally for coffee in person.
I love it. Absolutely. And I completely agree with you. I think when I've done talks on this as well, ultimately people are forgetting that it's human to human, whether it's through a digital medium or through it's in person. Like when you said the conversation we're having right now, we would be having online in person. Exactly. And so, Oh, Adrian Graham says, because it's the new in thing to do, I roll my eyes when I hear that. Get yourself some business cards and stop being difficult. The sass, I love it. Okay.
Yeah, and like I said, you know, like one of the best things for me is, and it was amazing advice from my friend Allison Levine, who is featured, I'm gonna say author. She led the first U.S. women's team up Everest. She's a total badass. Wow. And one amazing piece of advice I got from her was when my book was coming out, she said, get business cards with your book cover printed on it. So, you know, when you think about networking, if you have a product that you are selling, some great networking would be to have different pictures of your product on your card. So that when when you handed out some, you know, I want to say a picture of a card that's got, you know, that your latest, I don't know if you got a beauty company, the latest lipstick, or you've got, you know, clothing company, the latest dress design or t-shirt, like, that's networking. When someone says, oh, I can look you up online, say, hey, here, so you don't forget, and boom, they're going to remember it.
Awesome. All right. So I would also want to ask, what are your thoughts when people are putting themselves out there and it doesn't land, right? They have that conversation and the person is not receptive or makes them feel inadequate, because I think that also is a driving force of anxiety when it comes to this case. What's your advice for that?
Well, I mean, this is where this is like thinking about building relationships. And I think the flaw with social media is that, you know, we can friend someone. Does that merely mean you're a friend? Right? It just, and it takes a while to build trust. And trust doesn't come just because you've suddenly connected. And a lot of times people jump into an ask, or they seek something rather than understanding, you know, it takes time. You know, let me go back to Tom Peters, 7 years of conversation before we met in person, and it was absolutely seamless. And now, you know, he's written the foreword to my book. And as I said, he's a great friend and even, you know, better mentor, but that was 7 years. So I think people need to understand it takes time to build up trust.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, kind of don't rush. All you can ever control are your own actions. You can't control how the other person receives it. You can facilitate how they receive it by thinking, and this is the best advice I can give, is send the email or send the communication you would want to receive.
Exactly.
And if you send, you know, the email that you look at it and you go, oh yeah, that's a bit of a jerky email. Well, why are you surprised that someone doesn't respond well? Then the other thing to remember is you don't know what's going on in somebody's life. And you might have had an awesome conversation with them. They enthusiastically want to hear from you, and you send the email and you hear nothing. Well, you know what? Maybe their dog died. You know, maybe they've had a reorg at work. Maybe, like, you don't know. And so that's why it's like, you know what? Send the follow-up email that you would feel good about receiving.
Absolutely.
And like I had this situation 6 months reaching back and forth to someone. And when she finally got back to me, her first words were, thank you. Thank you for staying in touch. Thank you for making me posted on what was going on. Here's why. And she'd gone through a corporate reorganization and she was like, literally couldn't function.
Gotcha. Absolutely.
And I can make snarky, like, I'm not her. So anyway, so let's like be gentle and kind on people and understand it could be the littlest thing. You know, hey, I used to have a cat. He walked across my keyboard on my computer once, deleted everything. It was fabulous.
Oh no. Oh Oh no.
And
Yeah.
I thought to myself, well, I'm going to have to live my own advice and let's see what happens. And you know what? If it's important, people reach out and let's see how they reach out, because I can't panic on it. It gets out of my hands.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And I think that compassion is something that we are lacking because we have such an urgency. I know people like to, I am a millennial and people come for my population all the time. But, you know, I think it's challenging because we hear a lot of stories of people who go 0 to 100 in 5 years, in 3 years. And so it starts to kind of like that inner clock of like people think about having a baby. People want to birth businesses. They want to birth success. Right? And so everyone's anxious. So it's like, if I send you an email, oh my God, why didn't you answer? Why are we not writing together? Why am I not on the tour? Like, relax and work on the relationship. Yeah.
Like listen, like, you know what? And I'm going to quote from my friend Grace Kalia and paraphrase from her, like, the mirror of success you should be holding up should be yours. And you should be looking at somebody else's reflection and comparing yourself to that. And, you know, when I think about what you've just said, guess what? When I hadn't reached, you know, fabulous success as a lawyer by 30, I thought I was a failure. So it's not just your generation. I think there's been a speeding up of it because of technology. And it's like lives and careers are long. You know what?
Yes.
Be true to yourself. Be good to the people around you.
Absolutely.
And you know what? Things will happen at the time they should.
Absolutely. And I know you're busy, so I don't, you know, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I do want everyone to know, if they don't already, Kelly and I are going to be speaking at She Leads 2018, which is super exciting. So can you tell everyone kind of what they should be expecting from you, from the conference?
Oh, I mean, it's an amazing conference. I want to say it'll be phenomenal women dropping all sorts of pearls of wisdom from their careers, and real focus, I think, for those of us who have made career transitions, who have started in one role, like myself in law, and how is it we've landed somewhere else. I know a lot of people are looking at, you know, their second or third acts, or they're having the opportunity to try something new. And their second or third act may be within the same company, and they're just looking for some inspiration. So it'll be a fabulous day hearing from women on that. And, you know, I'll be having a conversation on this bad boy on, you know, what are the way you tap into networks. But anyone who's really thinking about what it is they want to achieve next, and by next, it may be what they're going through right now. Or I would even be even more encouraging women who are looking 3 to 5 years out.
Absolutely.
Because change, particularly if you've got some idea in mind, change doesn't happen overnight. And you may need to build new networks. You may need to get some different experience. You may need to do some different things to position yourself for that next role. You know, one of the career changes that I talk about in the book is when I moved from being a lawyer into law firm management. And
Interesting.
that is a word that at the time, and I still believe it is, was very much word of mouth in terms of filling those kind of professional development positions. It took me 18 months to land the job, because I needed 18 months to build a word of mouth network, where somebody else is putting their contacts and their reputation on the line to vouch for me.
Wow.
So that's the part that people don't realize. So, you know, if you're looking ahead saying, oh, hey, at some point I want to do X, you know what? You got to build that trust. And trust doesn't happen just because you're enthusiastic and interested. It comes from showing up. It comes from volunteering. It comes from like all those other, being there for other people. And that takes time.
Absolutely. Adrian wrote, it's hard to stop talking about what we used to do and talk about what we are doing now.
Yeah. Yeah, we're still, like, people still want to know, like, hey, what's that other thing? Like, you know.
Yeah.
So, like, sort of like, so funny. And you get this from being a lawyer. You know, there's still an element of, there's a prestige in that. The people are like, well, I'm a lawyer. And I'm like, God, I'm glad I had legal training. I'm glad I had the experience of being a lawyer.
Absolutely.
But it is kind of like the ghost of Christmas past, dragging that thing along behind you.
Absolutely.
but it does add a level of prestige. And you're like, this
It
is
is.
really weird, because what I'm doing now is, yeah, I'd much rather just
Totally
say, hey,
different.
I'm an author. I'm just it. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I say lawyer by trade, but yeah, and I move the conversation forward, but people, yeah, always want to come back. They're like, oh, so, my friend needs some legal help, and I'm like, not the person to speak to.
Yeah. Yeah. No, oh my God, Adrian, of course. Yeah, I constantly get dragged back in old business life. Exactly what you did before. And, it's part of our body of history, but also that's the kind of the power of, like, when I want to say, there may be something you've done in your, in your past life that your network is very wedded in. And then what are the ways that you can guide and show them that, hey, you're not the source for that anymore. And say, hey, I know what you're asking me, but you're going to find better answers over here, because I'm not doing that anymore. And then how, with networking, with social media, to go back, like, what does your profile and stuff say? What is the information? Because you may be networking the wrong thing to your network.
Absolutely. And then just last minute questions would be, do you have certain online platforms of choice? I know LinkedIn is super helpful. Facebook, Twitter, you mentioned. Are those like your top 3 if you had to choose?
Probably more, let me think, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram.
Oh, okay. Those are your 3. Okay.
Yeah, and then I contribute to Forbes, my own blog, my own newsletter, and really kind of having that control over my own content that way. But it's funny. I was here we are on Facebook, but I meeting over at LinkedIn yesterday, and they're doing a lot of interesting things, particularly now more on video. And that one that's a quietly powerful network, and particularly for women. I would say, you know what, leverage that one more. If you're talking about your career in business, lift your game up over there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then Adrian adds, attending live conferences is a great way to meet people and have other networks. Absolutely. There's nothing better than that in-person like vibe and relationship building that starts instantly. And you know whether you want to talk to someone or not when you meet them, because it's just it's about how we interact with each other. Online, it's a little bit more detached. So absolutely. And she agrees.
And Adrian is a great example. I mean, I was president of a global business network that at the time was known as 85 Broads, and we knew each other through that platform. We'd emailed and we talked on the phone, but there was a Women in the Boardroom event that was in Atlanta that I was there to speak at, and Adrian attended. And I want to say, like, the person you had a really great vibe with, like, solidified by that one-to-one. And as a mentor of mine used to say, the network is incomplete and useless until you meet face-to-face. We are still Neanderthals, and face-to-face may be this, what we're doing right now. Face-to-face may be FaceTime, it may be a Skype, but we need to see those nuances, because that strange little bit on, an email or confusion over the way someone communicates on Twitter, it all may make sense when you meet them in person.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're social animals. And so hopefully we can socialize together at She Leads 2018. Guys, I've included the link in the comment section. I've included Kelly's website. If you want to get in touch with her, you'll have copies of the book at the conference as well.
You know what? Authors need to do a lot of humiliating things, but dragging our books around to sell is not one of them. So, so you can find my book. Well, obviously you can find my book at Turn of the Corkscrew, but Amazon, Barnes and Noble, any of your favorite bookstore, it's available everywhere. Published by Tarsha Perigee, which is Penguin Random House, so you can find it anywhere. If you pick up a copy, bring it. So I'm happy to sign it. But
there you go.
Go to your book retailer of choice, or New York Public Library. They do carry it too.
Nice, absolutely. She wrote books will be at She Leads.
Oh, there we go. Maybe she's gonna have a bookseller there. Even better.
Awesome. So guys, if you want to meet Kelly, if you want to meet me, if you want to be a part of this amazing event on October 26th, you guys have got to click on the link and buy your tickets ASAP before they run out. Okay. So Kelly, thank you again. I'm so glad that we were able to meet, that we're going to be able to meet in person, and that we worked through our tech issues, and you had such wonderful wisdom to share with everyone. And just to recap, if you're watching this on the replay, watch the whole thing, put in your comments here. But remember, networking is not only important, it's not only like super beneficial, but it feels good when you build relationships. That's what Kelly is saying. That's what she's teaching, right? That we are human beings and we're in this world together. Build as many positive, empowering relationships for your personal life, for your business, ... Just build relationships, embrace it. It can change your life. So again, thank you so much, Kelly. You're really amazing.
You're the bomb. I can't wait to see you.
Me too.
Like a week and a half or whatever it is, 2 weeks. So
pretty
yes,
much.
Amazing. Thank you, girl.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for everyone joining. Bye.
Bye.